Hello, my name is Wes May and I'm Chair of the Economic Development Committee for the Halton Hills Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber's primary goals are set out in our mission statement, which is be seen, be heard, belong. Today is an opportunity for our members to be heard and also to hear about issues that are relevant to them and to the local business community in our upcoming municipal election. With me is Gary Carr.
Hello.
Gary has been the regional chair for Halton Region since 2006 and is running for re-election this October. Gary agreed to come today to address questions posed by the Chamber's Economic Development Committee. Thanks for coming, Gary.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for having me. Great to be here.
First question. The town of Halton Hills is going to grow by 20,000 residents over the next 20 years. As regional chair, how would you ensure that regional roads such as Winston Churchill, Trafalgar Road, and 9th Line are ready to handle the inevitable increase in traffic?
Well, as you know, it's mandated by the province with this growth under places to grow. What we do is we put together, in 2006, we put together the development charges, which pay for the water, the wastewater, and the roads. And so we need to ensure that the roads are put in when the development happens. And quite frankly, we're actually behind. It should have happened when the last 20,000 people came in. Trafalgar should have been increased to the 4 lanes at that time. It was about $120 million, and a lot of the developers says, oh, that's too expensive, don't do it. We've been very clear to all of the developers that are planning. The next new phase that goes in there, we are going to put the roads in place like we've done in other areas, and I'll give you an example down in Milton. At Britannia and Tremaine, they're growing there. We're going to 6 lanes right off the bat. Normally what happens, you come in, you start out with 2 lanes and then you go 4 lanes 10 years later, and then you go to the 6 lanes or whatever. We've changed that, and we've said that you're going to put the full amount in based on the best planning estimates, based on what places to grow is, and we're going to ensure that they're covered, which we can do under our master plan. So the best planning estimates tells us where the places to grow are going to be. The local municipalities, in this case, the town of Halton Hills does subdivision plans, and then we put the road plan in place and our master roads plan, our water and the wastewater plan, and then we fund it. And the one thing that we do is we make them funded up front. And that's what's allowed us to keep our AAA credit rating. And if you go onto my website at garycarr.ca, you'll see what the AAA credit rating bond agencies have said about our plan, because we are one of the few municipalities that does that. And as a result of that, we're one of the few municipalities that keeps our AAA credit rating. And in fact, York just got downgraded because they have to upfront all that. And we're talking over the course of the next 10 years about $3 to $4 billion, $3.5 billion, split between water, wastewater, and roads, about 50-50 on the water side. So we're going to ensure that the roads get put in place, and obviously the capacity so that the toilets flush and the taps turn on when we meet the next round of growth. And because they have to upfront it, what happened last time, the last allocation, it almost didn't go forward. We were this close to not proceeding in Milton and Oakville. And I think in Halton Hills it's going to be very, very difficult for them to proceed, because the cost of putting this in is going to be tremendous. And it'll be prorated over those 20,000 units. So in 2016, that's when it's slated to come forward. We've already put in place our strategic plan that's going to have the master plan put this in place, and we'll ensure that we have the best road system. Final point is they just did a recent GTA study. And again, you can see that on my website at garycarr.ca. They did a GPS study throughout the GTA. And the company went out and looked and did travel motion studies throughout the GTA. And at our last ENF, which is Administration and Finance, the report came in and said that we had the least congested roads in all of the GTA. And what that means is that's going to be what attracts the business. And I'll give you a quick little example. The Target warehouse, which is about 1.8 million square feet, 800 new jobs, $26 million in development charges. Same with the Lowe's warehouse, about 500 jobs. Price Waterhouse, Cooper that came in with about close to 600 jobs. Siemens with 800 jobs. We have the best job creation record. And when I talked to all of those presidents as we were breaking the ground and cutting the ribbons, I said, why did you come to Halton Region? And they said a couple of reasons. One, because you keep the taxes low, and we've actually frozen our taxes now for 8 years in a row. That's the best record in all of Canada. and because you put the infrastructure in place. And the Lowe's president actually kidded me. You probably know my background. I played pro hockey, and he was from North Carolina at the Lowe's. And he kidded me. He said, he must have looked at my resume, and he said, you know, my Carolina Hurricanes have won a Stanley Cup a few years ago, and the Maple Leafs haven't won since '67. And making fun, and I said, well, most of the Hurricanes were Canadians. But then I said to him, can I ask you a question? 600 jobs, $7 million in the case of Lowe development charges. And I said, why did you come to Halton Region? And he stamped on the ground and he said, because of the great roads, we were standing on the James Snow Parkway, and he said, take a look at this beautiful country, and he went and pointed up to Kelso, and he said, everybody wants to live in Halton. And so the bottom line is, if you make it a good place to live, it becomes a good place to do business. And then of course all those new jobs created are the reason that we're down to the most recent report, we're about 4.7 unemployment rate. And to put that in perspective, in the GTA and in Ontario, it's 8.1 and 7.5% respectively. So what I think we need is a regional chair that has a proven track record of creating jobs and has the experience to be able to continue to bring economic prosperity. And so that's essentially what we will be doing to ensure that we have the infrastructure, because it's good for the residents, it's good for businesses, and it will keep this the strong economic viable region that it is.
Great, thank you for that. You mentioned water. That's a good segue into my next question, because water is always a concern in Halton Hills, and the issue of water resources is even more acute in Acton. Are there plans to bring expanded water and wastewater services to the urban areas of Halton Hills? And you touched on this, but if so, how would that be funded?
Yeah, well, what we're doing is, you probably know the Prosperity Corridor in Halton Hills. That's where we're putting the resources in, and we do upfront the part on the employment lands. So we're spending about $72 million at the region to get water and wastewater and to upgrade the steels. Now the good news in that, we get that money back, and we had an economic forum, and if you go on the halton.ca website, you can go with the forum that was there. They say that Halton Hills and then Dairy Green and Milton and Winston Park is the economic hotspot of all of the GTA and all of Canada. So it won't be in Acton, it will be along the 401 corridor. We're already doing that. If you see the signs that are up there now. And what we will be doing is ensuring that we put that infrastructure in place so that we have that prosperity corridor. And what that will do for the people of Halton Hills, as you know, we've frozen our taxes, and the tax bill is a third for the region, a third for education, and a third for the town. The town has a very low industrial and commercial base compared to everybody else. We are going to be able to increase that. So we'll be able to freeze our taxes and ensure that we have the jobs. And that will help the tax base actually for the town of Halton Hills as well. I mentioned the Target Warehouse. Their property taxes, and I talked about the $26 million in development charges, they paid $1 million a year, $600,000 to the region, $400,000 to the town of Milton. So if we get these companies coming in like we have over the past, that will keep our taxes low for the residents. And then of course the good news, they will be able to then have the jobs right in our own community, which saves in commute time. And what that will do for your chamber members is that opens a tremendous opportunity for economic growth. So if you're a printer, if you're a lawyer, if you're an insurance broker, and of course your members have numerous fields that they're in, we think by having economic prosperity in that corridor, we are going to be able to help all of your members and help the community. So that's our plan. It's well underway. And again, what we need is somebody that has experience in putting that infrastructure in place and has a track record, quite frankly, of being successful, rather than try something new with somebody that doesn't have the experience. And so that's what I bring to the table. And as you know, not only 6 years as the regional chair, but I've been in this. I've been an MPP, the Speaker of the Ontario Legislature, and an MP as well. So that's one of the reasons I'm running. I want to continue with this economic prosperity in our community. We're the leaders now in all of Canada in terms of the job creation. But my old hockey background, and I've said this numerous times, George Armstrong, who was our coach in the Marlies when we won the Memorial Cup, said you're only as good as your last game. And you know, he was the captain that got the Stanley Cup and walked around or skated around in '67. And what he meant by that is you can win today, but it can be 60 odd years when you don't win again in the case of the Stanley Cup. The same with us. If we don't continue to invest in infrastructure and do the right things and have the strong, experienced leadership, that can all go out the window tomorrow. And so that's one of the reasons I'm running, and hopefully we'll be able to continue. That will help all of your members as we move forward.
Excellent, thank you for that. And you touched on this in your answers. Final question for today. If elected, what additional steps would you consider to improve the overall climate for business in the town of Halton Hills?
Well, the commitment we're going to do is going to keep taxes low, and that will attract the businesses. We are going to make sure that we invest in the infrastructure, which will make it the real best place anywhere in this in North America to be able to invest. And then finally, the other thing that was extremely important, and you may know this, for 7 years in a row, and I was on the Police Services Board, we have been named the safest region municipality in all of Canada based on the Stats Canada stats. And Maclean's Magazine takes those stats and ranks them like they do the universities. And it's based on the number of crimes and different things like that. So we're the safest region. That also helps with keeping people wanting to come here because they know it's a safe community, it's a prosperous community, and so again, we need to continue to do that, and I'm hopeful that if the people will have me back again, we're going to be able to continue with that economic prosperity, keep taxes low, invest in the infrastructure, and then put in place a safe community, and that will make it not only good for us here today, but good for generations to come and our kids and I'm now a grandparent. I've got two granddaughters and 2 grandsons. I want to make sure this community is good for the next generations coming forward.
Thanks so much for that, Gary. Much appreciated. Please visit the Chamber website to see our interviews of the other individuals running for the position of Regional Chair, and please remember to vote on October 27th. Thanks so much and have a great day.